Hello, everybody, and welcome back to That Amazon Ads Podcast. I am your co-host, Andrew. Steven, why are you laughing at me?
I don't know. Some in your tone of voice, you sounded somewhere in between bored and angry.
Man, I've been getting angry on this podcast too often. I'm trying to really get it under control, going to therapy for it. So hopefully
podcast anger management, I meant to say. Cool. Well, yeah. Did you have more to add to your intro, or was that it?
That was it, man. That was it. How you doing?
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about today?
It's been a very busy week. It's late. I think we're both a little tired. You've got some PTO coming up, much deserved, much needed. So you'll be out next week. Where are you going?
Yep. Yeah, gonna go to Mexico, lay on the beach at a resort for a week, and just kind of chill, recover, get some much needed R&R. It's been go time around here for a solid 8 months. Getting a little break, for a little reprieve before we go crazy in the rest of Q4. So it's going to be much needed.
And I'll tell you guys why it's been such a crazy, massive sprint for us since around the time when we launched the podcast, which was back in May or June of this year. And it's now coming to the close of October. We had this idea of essentially a whole suite of a product that would be content, community, and code. So kind of a three-prong directional product where, the content is everything we're putting out. And then, of course, there's that premium version, that masterclass, which is now recorded in post-production, should be dropping in December, available for purchase if you want the deep dive, more premium content. And then we have the Discord community, of course, which has been quickly growing and scaling. I think on the last podcast, we said we were at 200 subscribers or 200 members. By the time this airs, we'll probably be at 500. It's already grown another 100 members just in the last week or so. Yep. But the ultimate thing, Andrew, is the code section, that third absolutely pivotal point, which was something that we've been wanting to do for a long, long time, is to build a free sponsored products bidding optimizer that basically does everything we've talked about, anything pertaining to bids thus far on the show, talking about how to manage bids for non-converting keywords, how to manage bids for brand new keywords, high ACoS keywords, low ACoS, low visibility. Then you got your placement settings. All of that can get really complicated. Then you have to factor that back into the keyword bids. And it was even gotten to a point, Andrew, where it was too complicated for you or I to do, at least on a bulk sheet, because as we got more advanced with the way of our thinking about the logic and realizing the importance of multi-layers of logic, we ended up building some programs for ourselves to use, which we have now built into a full web application. And we're excited to present to you guys Ad Labs. And we'll probably have a logo up here somewhere showing our Ad Labs thing. But we've had a team of 5 developers working full time on this since June. So it's been a long time. And by the time this episode airs, I believe we will be allowing in the first few users to our software. So we'll have the link below. Check out Ad Labs. Andrew and I have actually been using it for our own accounts for the past. How long have we actually been using it, Andrew?
Couple months, I think we've been testing and utilizing it. Yeah, it's awesome, you guys. It's so exciting to bring you this. Like I said, we've been testing it, using it on our own accounts, and the results have been really telling of what we've created here. So really excited to bring that to you guys. Definitely check that out. Get on that wait list. And I think we're going to have a Discord associated with it as well. People who are in that will get priority access to the wait list. So definitely make sure you're on that. And we'll see you in there.
Yep. Of course, there will be a premium version of the app too. But for where we want to have a forever free version of the bid optimizer. So there will be the kind of the core components that you do need as a free version. And so definitely give Ad Labs a try. Yeah, we've been using it for the past couple months. It's just, and we'll put some videos out probably too, just showing you how cool and how fast it is. I mean, we can go into our accounts and make it. The reason why we like it is because it's not fully automated. It's not fully manual. It's somewhere in between. We call it a semi-automatic approach. It allows us to take advantage of all the benefits of automation in that a lot of the math is automated, but there's still a lot of controls in the hands of the manager. You can pick which date range you're going to be using, your prioritization, whether you're focusing more on reducing ACoS or growing sales or just kind of doing a more balanced routine maintenance thing. So it's all really, really cool. And it's been working phenomenally for us to get really good results. So definitely check it out. But to pull in a segue here, within our Discord that's been very active when we've been engaging with our community, we got one recommendation from the Discord for a certain episode. And so this is also episode 25, which is a pretty big milestone for us, making it through almost halfway through a year, right? Yeah. 26.
Yeah. Halfway through a year. We're like a quarter century in episode years old. So that's exciting, man. It's a big milestone for us. Glad we got here. Plenty more to come though.
Episode years?
Yeah, I just made that up.
1 week. Yeah. But yeah, so we're talking about the topic is low-hanging fruits. Actually, Andrew, I don't know do you happen to have this message pulled up, or I could actually pull it up?
I don't have it pulled up.
Here's the message. Would like a podcast on low-hanging fruit campaigns. Not much knowledge available out there on this topic, except for the classic catch-all campaigns. What are some other ad types or campaigns that can give us sales at a really good ACOS and also balance the average CPC with ACOS? Many thanks. So that's what this episode's going to be about. Andrew and I have put some thoughts together. And if there's nothing else that you've got to add kind of in this intro section, Andrew, we can jump into it.
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right, Andrew. So the low-hanging fruits, essentially kind of what are some really easy opportunities to snag a couple extra sales within Amazon advertising. I'm going to add to this just on the topic of low-hanging fruits. I think we should also mention not only just how to grab perhaps a couple extra sales, but how can we also cut out a couple wasted dollars. So kind of just what are some potentially, there's not always going to be some low-hanging fruits, but it's always kind of a good thing to do a quick little gut check on your campaigns and see if there is something that's just a really easy, quick fix that can get some immediate results. And kind of what we're usually looking at when we're looking at these low-hanging fruits is basically just something with a super low risk, really high reward ratio. It's not going to obviously revolutionize and double or triple your sales, but it could just be something with, just really low effort, really low risk to kind of overall performance that can help tweak things and shape them up a little bit. So is that about how you would probably think through this concept of low-hanging fruits?
Yeah, totally. So we're just kind of looking for the things where we can capture where there's the most opportunity for the least amount of effort, and finding ways that we can make small tweaks that make a good impact and allow us to potentially develop some more level of incremental sales growth. And like you said, it's not necessarily these things are going to explode the revenue on your account, but it could help you capture those 1 and 2 sales that you maybe wouldn't have gotten had you not had these different strategies set up. Now, I think to kind of frame this up, like when we talk about low-hanging fruit within an account, like we are auditing accounts on a pretty regular basis, and we see a lot of the things that brands and managers are doing. And I think that to like really just like summarize everything that we have talked about in episodes 1 through 24 up to this point have basically been what we see as the biggest opportunity and what people are missing when it comes to managing and optimizing their ad accounts. So when we're talking about how to calculate keyword bids and how to reduce spend on non-converting keywords, or we're talking about how to calculate your placement settings, things like that, this is the kind of stuff that we're seeing accounts are not doing. And whenever we start to implement them, that's where we see the biggest result. And so that's why, all these episodes are a summarization of all those different low-hanging fruits that we see in accounts. But, I just wanted to start with that to preface this episode. These tactics and little tweaks and strategy things that we're going to talk about today are great, but the biggest value that we see in like shaping an account's performance and improving it comes from a lot of the stuff we've already talked about.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good point. Most of the time when I am auditing an account, or just taking over auditing account, I guess, and preparing kind of some thoughts and action plan for if they were to partner with us. One of the biggest things I'm looking at is I check out the placement settings. And if they're not doing anything with top of search, I know that's a lot of missed sales opportunity, especially if they're just underrepresented in actual spend on top of search. And so I would usually call those like super low hanging fruits, but we've already kind of talked about that in all these episodes. These are all kind of things that we would then execute upon. So I think what we're going to try to shape this episode to be more around, and I think especially because the individual who asked for this has been very engaged with our content. So I'm sure he's already been active doing all of these things. So we're going to try to get even lower hanging fruits. Assuming you already have an account that you've been working with and has been well optimized, and you've been executing on episodes 1 through 24 already. We'll talk about some lower hanging fruits. And the first one, and I guess these will be perhaps some of them will be slightly non-traditional methods, I guess, like little hacks to potentially get some extra sales in there. And the first one that we have here, Andrew, is one that I was first taught by our mutual friend, Brett Messier, who actually is the one who introduced us to each other
Shout out
way
Brett.
back when. Shout out Brett, who agreed to come on to this. Brett and I used to work together at another company and do podcasting on the PPC Den podcast, if you've heard of that one. And Brett was was on that podcast before I was, and then I told him he needed to come on this episode or this show now, and he said if we make it to episode 50, he'll make a guest appearance. So
yeah. I think whenever we asked him that, he didn't really have faith in us yet. He hadn't
we were on
seen
episode
that we
2
were going
or
to do
something.
it.
Yeah, we were on episode 2. We're like, Brett, come on, and he was like, episode 50, which is like basically a full year of production.
Yep.
It's coming.
Yep. He wanted to make sure we were committed. So, Brett, we're going to get you on here in episode 50. We'll see you there.
Yep. But Brett introduced me way back in the day when we were working together to the low bid lottery, which, are you familiar with this, Andrew?
Totally. Yeah. He and I
we might have different definitions. You and
Same
I did?
Thing.
Oh.
Same idea, but no, me and Brett. Brett told me about that too. So yeah.
How do you define it?
There's a few different ways you could define it, but I would say most people call them like catch-all campaigns. They are campaigns that are highly aggregated and that have low bids, but receive some sort of algorithmic benefit due to just the nature of the structure. And so basically campaigns you're having set up, this is what I would do. One ad group, bunch of products, low bids.
Yep.
That's how I describe it.
Yeah. And the idea here is you never optimize the bids on this campaign. Like if your typical CPC is around $1, you're setting these bids at like 5 cents, like something tiny. And then you can probably increase your top of search. You do 5 cents, you can do dynamic up and down to get a little extra algorithmic benefit, and then maybe do 100% increase for top of search, which means when all of that is kind of combined of your 5 cents plus 100% increase for top, that gets you to 10 cents, plus dynamic up and down gets you up to 20 cents because you double it again. Mm-hmm. You'll never pay more than 20 cents CPC. So you'll be paying somewhere between 2 cents to 20 cents. And just the CPCs are so dang low that when you do get a sale, because they'll happen periodically, the ACoS is just going to be really low. And they're just going to be sometimes some really low volume keywords that like nobody was really going after, nobody thought to go after, or maybe just some weird coincidental sales. Like I think we used this example a while ago, but it's like, you sell jacuzzis, and someone was searching for swim trunks, and they ended up finding your jacuzzi, and they just bought a jacuzzi or something like that. Or maybe I think it was the other way around. You're selling swim trunks, and someone was searching for jacuzzis, and they saw your swim trunks, and that was just like a random like one click, one conversion thing. And you're not necessarily going to harvest that keyword and keep going after it, because over time that keyword's probably not super relevant. But at least in the moment, for a 5 cent click and a $20 sale, you're pretty happy sitting on like a fraction of a percent of an ACoS. So that's what these kind of low bid lotteries are. They'll usually run really low spend and just capture some practically free sales. Yep.
I think these are really good. And if you're, I think you should have these running to some degree in an account. However, I will caution, this is not a full strategy. Okay. So we've definitely seen accounts where people literally have catch-all campaigns as their whole strategy. They heard low-hanging fruits for catch-all and they said, got it. And they went back and they deployed all of their products in catch-all campaigns, expecting that to work. And to some degree, it does kind of work. Like with proper bid management, you can still like drive efficient sales, but it's not necessarily going to be what's going to set you up for growth in the long term.
Yeah, or if you just have really strong products with really high conversion rates,
True.
It'll be a lot more forgiving these things. But I actually don't like to call them catch-all campaigns for that very reason. I think catch-all is typically a different strategy. Catch-all is typically just like is you typically when I see people doing that, they're actually trying to scale these campaigns.
Sure, and they're increasing bids more than you would.
Yeah,
on
they're
low bid.
If their catch-all campaign, if your target ACoS is 30% and you're only at 10%, they're going to start increasing those bids because like, oh, this one's doing really well. It's out of budget. Let's keep it increasing and pushing. With low bid lottery, you kind of put it in the background. Anytime you're optimizing bids, whether it's on a bulk sheet or an ad labs, you're just like excluding that campaign from the optimizations because the math formulas that will always kind of increase the bids on those because it's always going to be super low bids to begin with and probably low ACoS. So yeah, just kind of start it with like a 5-cent bid, crank that top of search, do dynamic up and down, dump all your products into it. You could definitely segment it a little bit more probably like, sure. You could, within your ad groups, you could put different, you could actually group your products a bit more strategically within the ad groups, but we're not trying to get too sophisticated with this. Like we're calling it a lottery for a reason.
Have you found any like potential benefit to grouping those campaigns like that? Like having, I don't know, it would vary by category or like how that account was set up, but grouping them by like product category or relevance. Like, so like if the products are related and going to have related keywords, like do you see that as like a good thing that people should do? Or is it just kind of like a personal preference?
Yeah, I think it's probably more personal preference, but yeah, the concept is it's just supposed to be kind of passive income. It's just like, owning some stock and it pays you out some dividends and you never really pay attention to the price. You're just happy with the dividends paying out. That's kind of the end of the strategy here. Is it's like, hey, you can get perhaps some really cheap clicks if you just have some campaigns with really low bids just kind of running perpetually.
Totally. Yeah. So personal preference on structure based on how you want to read and interpret the data inside of these campaigns. Not that you could still totally use this data from these campaigns in all of your other campaigns, but if it's not structured properly, you're not going to have any idea like what's converting where. So yeah, if you feel like trying to utilize the data from this, then you're going to maybe want to structure it a little bit differently than just dumping it all in one ad group. So Cool. Yeah, let's switch over to the next low-hanging fruit. So next up is, you might be just surprised to hear this, but some bid optimization. And the reason why I say that is because what I typically do, I just saw you, that's a good one. Andrew added another good low-hanging fruit here that we'll come back to. But with the targeting tab, in Amazon, there's that tab on the left-hand side that's going to show you just all of the targets that you're doing. Now, whenever I'm checking in performance on my account, checking performance on my accounts, I see a lot of people make this mistake. They sort their campaigns by highest ACoS to lowest ACoS to try to find the lowest hanging fruits. And that is such a massive mistake, in my opinion. You sort by, what is it, Andrew? Spend?
Yeah. I feel like you did that before. Anyways, doesn't matter. Sort by spend. And the reason why is because whatever campaign is spending the most is going to be having the biggest impact on total performance. And so there could be, and this is just a mistake I see where people are like, hey, I found this, even sometimes, just other like teammates that I'm working with, they're like, whoa, this account has 200% ACoS. We need to optimize it. And it's like, okay, but the account spent $20 to get $10 in sales, and this account is spending $100,000 a month. So you could optimize that campaign all you want, knock your socks off with optimizing that $20 to spend. It will have no impact on the $100,000 of budget that we've got to get through. So sorting by ACoS could highlight some weird, just low data, high ACoS campaigns. That's not going to be a low-hanging fruit optimizing those. Those will be picked up on like your larger kind of sweeping changes. But for low-hanging fruits, what you want to do is you want to sort by highest spend. And you can do this either at that targeting tab level, and you go into that targeting, just look at the highest spenders, and then manually kind of scroll through and eyeball which of those have, really high spend and no sales, or really high ACoS. Because if like your second or third highest spending term, or maybe it's even your number one highest spending term has ACoS that's too high, that's something that you can, if you just clean up that one bid, things will be a lot better. And these are great for being a lot more nimble with your adjustments too. Sometimes you don't really have time to make these big sweeping changes. Like you're only doing it once a week, but then you get a couple days into the week, and it's not really time to do a full bid change yet. But, and this is actually an example that I had with recently with one of my teammates, is we had a product. The campaign was 120% ACOS, which was okay because the client had given us a certain budget. He was saying, hey, here's $1,000. We want to invest in this product. We're ACOS agnostic. We just want to maximize sales within this budget. And the budget was going a little bit fast. And so we had to slow the spend down on it. And we were looking at this campaign. And at first he was recommending we should optimize all the bids in this campaign. And I was like, hold on. I bet you there's just one keyword in there that's taking up all the spend. And so we clicked into it. Sure enough, there was one keyword that had like 80 or 90% of all the spend go into it. So we just reduced the bid on that one keyword. And that will now help like the overall campaign, the overall product, just have better pacing towards the budget goal and allow it to spend a little more evenly distributed. So a lot of times in that targeting tab, whether it's within a specific campaign or if it's just within your whole account, you can usually identify just, a small handful of keywords that just are super quick in console bid optimization will just help clean things up.
Yep, absolutely. That's a good one. I think that like I've seen some people talking about ad sales percentage of total sales being a good indicator of how reliant your product is on advertising. Mm-hmm. But we can look at it from a different lens of, the percentage of spend allocation across your campaigns is the directional kind of guiding light to what's going to create the biggest impact in your account whenever you're making changes.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's a really good point. I do the same thing pretty often, checking the targeting tab. And I've seen that example that you mentioned quite often, especially with like new campaigns and stuff, whenever you're first setting them up, figuring out that balance and trying to get the distribution of your budget to kind of allocate across the keyword selection that you have can be a little bit tricky and kind of require those nimble adjustments and more manual eyes on hands-on keyboard type stuff. So that's a really good point. And kind of along the same vein, you're talking about those tabs that Amazon has been adding over the last couple of years to the console. You mentioned the targeting tab. There's also the products tab, which we can talk about. But then what I was going to bring up was the budgets tab. I find this one is a really good place to capture a little bit of low-hanging fruit where with very little effort. The budgets tab basically will allow you to look at your campaign performance and also tell you what percentage of the day that campaign is active and in budget and hasn't ran out of budget. And so what you sometimes will see is like some of your top spending campaigns. Again, you're still going to want to go into this tab and sort by spend. So you're going to see where, that biggest impact is going to be, or you can make the bigger impact with some small changes. So if you find that your higher spending campaigns that are also meeting target ACOS or like below target ACOS or like just kind of like right around your targets, if you see that they're running out of budget or they're like in budget like 70% of the time or like 50% of the day, that's a good opportunity for you to be able to increase budgets on your campaigns, open up more spend that is efficient and meeting your targets. So you can kind of add a little bit more fuel to the fire and capture more of those sales for a longer period. So you can stay active longer throughout the day. And so that one has been definite game changer, one that I'm checking pretty regularly to identify some opportunities for scaling spend across different campaigns.
Yep. Yeah. I think kind of the prevailing theory is that at least for us, is that campaigns should never run out of budget except on very rare circumstances and very specific kind of strategies, unless if you are intentionally planning for a campaign to run out of budget and that is part of your strategy, it shouldn't be running out of budget. So the reason why is that if a campaign is running out of budget, it's going to be in either one of two conditions with one or two different outcomes. Either the campaign is profitable and it's driving a ton of sales and we should be extending that budget in order to drive more sales, or it's not profitable and we need to be reducing those bids to help slow down the spend to simultaneously lower the ACOS and allow it to spend more evenly throughout the day, so that it's not just spending at a way too high ACOS for 3 hours and then capping out. Like, it's way more efficient to, like, rather than just get 100 clicks in the morning and be done and spend too much and have high ACOS, it's way better to reduce those bids, let yourself get 200 or 300 clicks that actually lasts throughout the day because you're getting a lower CPC now. So you can get more clicks within that budget so that you're not hitting the budget until if you hit it again and now the ACOS is good, well, now you can extend the budget again, The only time in which you'd ever want those campaigns to actually run out of budgets is if you're like with this example that we had that I mentioned earlier, where the client said, there's $1,000 we can invest in this product. I know it's not going to be profitable given that it's a new product launch. And so in that case, we still did, when we saw those campaigns kind of get near our budgets, we still responded by reducing the bids to control that spend. But point being here, that budget tab is extremely powerful for seeing which campaigns have been historically running out of budget. Because when you just log into the ad console, they're not always saying, if a campaign has consistently been running out of budget, it's just not currently out of budget when you log in, you're not going to catch it. But that budgets tab can easily help you identify which campaigns are getting paused in the middle of the day that maybe have really good ACOS. Maybe it's your low bid lottery campaign that's humming along at a 2% ACOS, but you only gave a $5 budget to it, and you're realizing you could be spending $50 a day if you were just checking that budgeting tab.
Yep. That's a good point. Those are all great points on like how you're controlling the budgets, how you're controlling your spend with your bids, and your budgets are kind of just your guardrails to make sure you don't overspend in certain scenarios. So yeah, love that. I also, just so people know, you're not going to get capturing a whole lot of low hanging fruit by extending budgets that are in budget 100% of the time. And so if you're seeing a lot of like campaigns that are like low ACOS and they're already in budget, like 99, 100% of the time, increasing those budgets isn't really going to help you out.
Do people do that?
I don't know. Maybe they like, I've definitely heard people say like, oh, I want to increase spend. Like, let's increase the budgets. Let's open up the budgets. And it's like, well, maybe that would work, but we got to check some other things first. So
that's a good point. If your campaign's been spending $10 a day and you raise your daily budget from $100 to $1,000, it'll just keep spending $10 a day. Unless if there's some weird conspiracy theory that Amazon suddenly starts spending more, which I have heard people ascribe to
higher budgets get like benefit algorithmically. Maybe.
It has not been my experience.
I don't know. I don't think so.
We were trying last Prime Day to spend a lot of money with really large budgets and we couldn't do it, even though we basically set the budgets to unlimited.
Well, we spent a lot.
Yeah.
We spent like what, $800,000 in like 12 days or something like that. 11 days. I mean, it was something crazy, but yeah, a lot of spend.
What about this one, Andrew? The products tab. You mentioned that earlier. Of jumping off the targeting tab. How can folks jump into the products tab in the ad console to capture some low-hanging fruits?
Yeah, totally. Products tab is another good addition that Amazon has recently released, where it allows you to look at all of your individual product level data in one place and see where that product lives across your account in terms of which campaigns it's in, as well as that just overall aggregated product performance. It allows you to look at your product performance without having to pull that advertised product report. So it's really nice. Also, another caveat to all of these tabs that we should call out is that they include conversion rate columns. And that's like, Amazon's like added that into these different tools and stuff, except for the main campaign dashboard, but
except for the most important place.
Yeah. Most important place. But it's nice to have it here. It can be helpful for you. And specifically for the products tab, we're going to be looking at that conversion rate. This is a great place to identify potentially overspending on a low conversion product. You can start identifying where in your catalog you have a low conversion problem, where you may potentially be overspending, or you could just do the inverse of that and identify products that have high conversion rates and lower spend. So that products tab is really good. If you add in that conversion rate column, you can definitely pull out and identify very quickly kind of where you're allocating high levels of spend with low converting, so you can reduce your ACOS, or if you want to try to scale sales, we can find the inverse of that. What do you use the products tab for?
Yeah, I use it essentially doing exactly what I said I do with the targeting tab, which is I just sort by highest spend first. And then within the highest spenders, I look at anything that's above the target ACOS, because if something is, let's just say my target ACoS is 30%, but currently we're at 35 and we're a little bit high. Rather than optimizing like the pennies in my account that have 200% ACoS, I can actually move the needle a lot more if I find something that actually has a 35% ACoS. So it's not that much higher compared to something else that might have 200, 300% ACoS. Go find the thing that's just above your target. Maybe it's 35%, but if it's making up like 90% of your account spend, then you know exactly why your account's saying 35% ACoS is because 90% of it's going at the rate of 35%. So that could just come down to a single product. It could come down to a single target. And I shouldn't say single, but I should say, very defined small group of data points or targets, whatever. But there could be one product in your overall account that is just really struggling with a low conversion rate, and it's driving up a ton of the spend. And if you weren't very well organized in your campaign structure, if you weren't doing single product campaigns or single product ad groups, you might not have ever discovered this. Like hypothetically, let's just say you're doing multi-product ad groups. So at a campaign level, at an ad group level, where you just have 100 products in there, the ad group overall seems to be doing well because there's a couple there's a couple items in there that are driving up a ton of sales, but there's one product in there that's just blowing through budget and has a really low conversion rate and a really high ACoS, and it's making up the majority of that spend there. And if you just go find that guy and pull it out, you can either pause that product ad, or you can pull it out and put it into a separate ad group or a separate campaign so that you can manage its bids more effectively. That can really help pull everything down. For me, most of the time, though, what it ends up being is when I see that issue and I see there's a product that has a lot of spend and a low conversion rate and it's hurting everything, it's usually a product listing. Something happened with the product listing, and it's a good way to kind of catch that, flag that, send it over to the client, just alert them and move forward that way.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Stephen, we have a lot more bullet points here to get through, and we've been talking already for 40 minutes or so.
30
minutes? That's it?
Yeah,
that seems like
we
longer.
got time.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to the next one and start talking about some of these other ones that maybe people haven't done yet or heard of. Okay, next low-hanging fruit we have is a little bit of a new addition to the Amazon Ads console. Now, this strategy or this tactic that we're going to talk about is not like crazy. It's available to everybody. It's not going to be the cheapest way to drive traffic or the most efficient necessarily, but I have seen really high click-through rates on this ad type, and it's relatively new. Not a lot of people using it. It's a really good opportunity to capture a lot of the click share and traffic on searches. And the strategy is sponsored brand product collection video ads. So this is a pretty new thing. Amazon's had video ads, but mostly they've just lived in the rest of search placement or at the bottom of search results. But now they've enabled you to target top of search placements with your sponsored brand videos. So I've been testing this and using it for a few accounts, and it's important that the video is quality and everything, but overall, just comparing the click-through rates between sponsored brand product collection video ads versus regular sponsored brand product collection, seeing a nice disparity between the two. And normally we see higher click-through rates on video ads anyway, but these are exceedingly so, higher than our normal sponsored brand ads. So I think this is a really good opportunity for people to utilize an ad type that not everybody is rushing to and currently using. I know, as features get rolled out, there's kind of this curve of adoption where people at first aren't really utilizing these strategies and tactics, and that's the best opportunity for you to jump on these things and test them. Now, you should obviously test them for your account. Not every account's going to be the same. Not every account needs top of search sponsored brand video ads, but it is something that I thought we should mention in this episode as I have been seeing pretty good results with it in the accounts that I've been deploying it with. So it's a little pricier, not necessarily the sexiest, thing for everybody, but it certainly has yielded good results for me. And it's a new thing that everybody should be testing out right now.
It's pricier, and it also takes up more time to set up. Doesn't sound like a low-hanging fruit to me.
Yeah, it may not be the biggest bang for buck, but it is new.
We're climbing up the tree now to slightly higher, but still low-hanging fruits.
Well, it's like coconuts, man. We're getting the coconut trees. We're way up there.
I did have a quick question there, Andrew. Are you distinguishing this ad type from traditional sponsor brand video?
I believe in most cases I have been trying to basically segment based on whether I'm trying to get this to place at top of search versus, well, the product collection is really mostly available for just that top of search. I'd have to look into this a little bit more on exactly what the placements are, because I think there's more than just that. But yeah, I think that your primary placements for these sponsored brand product collection ads is going to be that top of search placement. It's going to be the most valuable. That's where I've seen the good results. So I set them up with certain settings to help ensure that those campaigns are delivering at top of search and not just, below the fold placements and things like that.
Yeah. I also just saw that sponsored brands now have VCPM bidding. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I think I saw that in one account that I was working in, but yeah, have not tested or used that one.
Yeah. We'll have to come back to that. But so are you saying that you're able to target top of search? Yeah, I think you're right. These sponsored brand videos are going exclusively to top of search, and that's only if it's product collection. I'm in an account right now trying to set one up, and I don't even have the option to not do product collection.
Yeah, so I think it's only. Oh wait, sorry. You what?
I can't do not product selection.
Product collection video ad?
Collection, correct. I cannot, couldn't do it. How is that enough negatives for you? Yeah, no, I can't do. I can't actually do the traditional sponsored brand video with just a single product. It's only allowing me to do.
You probably can
product collection,
right? So if you click on video, and then if you click on video, then you pick whether it's a store page or a product detail page. You only have product detail page there, or a store page there. If you change that, that'll change your options.
You know what it was? Because I clicked the VCPM thing.
Oh,
the VCPM gated me from it. So that was the setting that I had turned on. Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I can still do lifestyle or whatever video ads traditionally.
Also, on the same vein of this, sponsored brands, I think in some accounts I've seen this like multiple like carousel items or carousel custom images. That'd be another cool thing to test out. But anyway, let's move on to the next actual low-hanging fruit.
to wrap that up, a low-hanging fruit, and to make this a little bit more conceptual and I guess evergreen as a strategy, is whenever there's something new coming out on Amazon, be the first to test it. There's usually a little bit of an first mover advantage. So yeah, these new top of search sponsored brand videos come out. Andrew did some digging around to figure out how to do that. Found it was the product collections, blah, blah, blah. Launched some campaigns, saw some good results. So that's kind of the summary of that one. Now let's switch over to a couple of our last low-hanging fruits. So the next low-hanging fruit is pretty simply just expand your targeting. Just start going after winning more impressions. As simple and as straightforward as it sounds. Some of the ways in which we've been doing this in the past, and I actually do this all the time when a client reaches out and says, "Hey, this product, I want to push a bit more. Can we try to push more on the sales?" What I first do is I just take the ASIN, plug it into my search for that ASIN in my campaigns or my ad groups, and then I just go to Amazon suggested keywords and I just scroll through Amazon suggested keywords, any that seem relevant. I just add them. I always do custom bid. I don't like you doing the suggested bids because who knows what they're going to be. My starting bid will just be watch the other videos for how we do that, or use ad labs for what that custom bid's going to be. But I just throw it in there and I just scroll through and just, manually just kind of add a couple keywords. And the reason why that works so great is, number one, it's quick. Number two, very limited room for margin for error here. Like if you're just doing these big sweeping changes of harvesting a ton of keywords, there's so many coincidental search term conversions that might have pulled in, and frankly, it really just kind of it comes down to how buttoned up your keyword harvesting methods are, what criteria you're using, what date range you're using, all these types of things. So unless if you're an expert on keyword harvesting and have a essentially just like a fail-proof way of executing on it, you can make a lot of mistakes. And that's why sometimes after a big keyword harvesting, your ACoS spikes because you pulled in a ton of irrelevant stuff, or when you pulled it in, the keyword bids weren't right. All that kind of stuff can happen. So this is just a much lower risk element. You just like whichever product you want to push on. And this is better for, obviously you can't do this for your whole account, especially if you have a massive catalog. It would take forever to do this manually for every single individual campaign. But if there's one product in particular or a product line in particular, your client says, I want to push sales here, just go find those ad groups, just add a couple keywords from Amazon suggested thing. Part of why it's also important to do that is that, Amazon's search bar, their recommended search terms to the customer, that is, that as the customer's typing things in, Amazon's always updating those search terms. And so like the searches are always changing. And so there might be some recently trending keywords that when you're searching when you're in the ad console looking at the suggested keywords, you'll see those pop up based on Amazon's search box that might not have ever appeared in your search term report because it's so new and you were being outbid. So you never actually got any impressions or clicks. So you didn't actually have any of that data that way. So it's just a really good, quick, easy way to like harvest a couple extra keywords. And then on top of that, Andrew, you were also talking about product targeting expansion and what are some things we could do there to would you say that's pretty similar kind of what you were when you wrote that note down to what I just said?
Yeah, very similarly, just like branching out on your targeting, allowing for keyword discovery. If you're trying to capture more sales, we need more visibility. And so, expanding the overall spend across your, expanded match types is a way that you can accomplish that and start reaching maybe potentially queries that you're not targeting. This would happen maybe if you're like really heavy exact match, like in your account, you could maybe have some increases on your broad match targeting to help, increase that visibility a little bit or something like that. But yeah, when I was writing down product targeting, I was just thinking through a lot of the work I've been doing in accounts lately. And I've just been seeing really good results with product targeting, really, cheaper CPCs, good performance overall. And they recently added kind of a new layer to it of expanded product targeting, which is basically just like broad match for product targeting. And originally they just had the exact ASIN targeting, but now they have that ability to basically target an ASIN and then show up on a whole bunch of other ASINs that are just like it. And so I've been using that, I'll have it segmented out, and I can, if I want to grow more like my impressions and spend more, that's one place that I would look for growing, that spend or increasing that spend is in product targeting. Usually there's a lot of opportunity there. You can find plenty of scenarios for increasing bids to capture more spend. And product detail page placements, not that it's just product detail page placements, but those placements in particular have a ton of inventory. And so there's a lot of room to spend on those. But yeah, that's one thing I've been utilizing a lot, and just kind of growing as Amazon has grown and evolved their platform and added the expanded product targeting. My strategy is also evolving. So I use those expanded product targeting as a competitor kind of research tool. It also kind of informs it's just like a broad match for keyword targeting. So you would use broad match or phrase match to identify keywords or opportunities that you wanted to harvest into more refined targeting. So that's kind of how I've been using this product targeting edition that they recently added.
Yep. Well said. I've got nothing to add to that. So let's jump over to our last low-hanging fruit. The final low-hanging fruit is day parting. We had this because it's extremely easy.
Don't you do that.
Just kidding. If you watched our last episode, you saw us get very confused around day parting. Definitely not a low-hanging fruit. Certainly some easier ones out there. Andrew, this one you executed on recently. And you sent me a message about this earlier today. You said, I did the Stephen Pope hack coming off of our debate with Stephen Pope around click-through rate and conversion rate. What did you do? What was this low-hanging fruit for you?
Yeah. Shout out Stephen Pope for constantly pushing this on LinkedIn. And if you are on LinkedIn, surely you have seen somebody talking about this. But really, it's optimizing that main image for higher click-through rates. And I did this with an account. I actually have been talking to them about this basically ever since we had Stephen Pope on, and he was like talking about it and everything. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm like experimental mind. Let's go out and actually test this and see the results. And so I was pushing it to this client, like, hey, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. I was showing them like all these other competitors in their space that were doing it. And I was like, look, I've heard that this is getting good results. I haven't had a chance to test it on like this account in particular. And so I think we should try it out and see what happens. So basically all we did was we took our main image, and this is a supplement company. So we took our main image, and a lot of other supplement companies, you'll see this doing this, is they'll add, throw it in Canva, and they'll add some little graphics over top of their main image or on their product in the image that basically gives you more information and more details about the product. And so that way you
don't, how many grams, specific ingredients, keto friendly, whatever.
Yeah. All those types of things, like give more information about the product without making the person have to read your bullet points or your title or anything. People are visual, especially on Amazon. Most people are just looking at the images to make purchase decisions. In a lot of cases, especially if it's smaller, like lower AOV stuff, they're just really mostly just looking at images. So optimizing that main image is a really good opportunity to help just drive more traffic and capture more click share. And I don't have enough data to actually support the claim that it produces lower CPCs yet, but we'll see. So I'll keep that in mind. But for this account in particular, I finally got them to come around to making this change, running this test. And we've been running it for like 3 days. And basically the average click-through rate on this product for month to date month to date was like 0.65%. And we made this main image switch to see what would happen. And basically our click-through rate jumped up to 1.41% in the last 3 days. And so we're seeing a pretty high increase in overall clickability of this product as we've updated the main image. And we'll keep monitoring for further results. But in the Discord, we also had a lot of people talking about this and showing cool examples of stuff that they're doing within their accounts and the stuff that they're working on. Dude, that I was really impressed with a lot of the work that some people are doing in regard to this topic. And like there were people even using like colored backgrounds on their images and things like that. So apparently there's a lot more flexibility with your main image than I had originally thought. I don't know what Amazon's doing there, but it seems like there's some opportunity there for some main image optimization. So it could look like adding some labels with like just within Canva. It could look like adding, if you're selling a product that has multiple like components or pieces to it, including more of those in the main image, showing all the like different thing. Like if you have like a med kit or something like that, don't just show like a bag with nothing inside of it, or just like you can't see what's inside of it. Open up the bag and show like all the different components that are within it, and have like, just look at what other people are doing. Like there's a ton of people starting to do this on Amazon where they're tweaking those main images, making them a little different than what you're seeing across everything else. And in my experience so far, when I did that, pretty good results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's certainly a little bit outside of the realm of PPC in terms of like, this isn't necessarily a low-hanging fruit you can do within the ad console, but it's certainly worth mentioning just because, that main image is practically everything in terms of not only click-through rate, but also conversion rates. So I didn't lose the debate.
No, you didn't lose. You didn't lose. It's okay.
Hey, did you see what happened to your conversion rates? Did your conversion rates change at all?
I'd have to double check. Let me take a look.
Okay. But the point here being is if you're just a PPC manager and you don't touch the listings, you can certainly go back to your clients and just jump into our Discord and see some of that conversation that Andrew was talking about around all these tests that people have been doing with their main images to just really blow up the clickability of their ads, which most of the time, as long as you're going after the right keywords, will also lend to being the right sales. Obviously, if you have bad keywords, then you don't necessarily want to be super clickable on bad keywords. What you got there?
Word of caution on improving your click-through rate. we actually did this with an account not related to the main image, more so related to the sponsored brands. So we were doing the sponsored brands, had a bunch of those ads running without custom images, without like really good headlines. And so we just went in, made those tweaks to the sponsored brands, added some nice looking creative or custom images, and saw click-through rates spike significantly.
Yeah.
And
doubled.
basically just like doubled our spend on
with no sales to show for it.
Yeah. Without really any increase in conversion rates. So we caught that pretty quick. I will say we caught that pretty quick and made the changes. So just word of caution, as your click-through rate may go up, it may lend yourself to increased traffic, which would be in the form of ads, increased spend. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, but I think just point there being is it's only one image, right? We're not going to the client being like, we got to revamp the whole entire product listing. Like that would not be a low-hanging fruit. But what is the low-hanging fruit is just doing some quick tips, quick hacks on giving a little bit more information on that main image, so you can go back to your client and do that. Or if you have the ability to optimize these listings, you can do what Andrew said and literally just grab that photo, drop it in Canva or some other free video editing like web application and make some tweaks, upload it, test it. And I think I saw somewhere there was A/B testing coming to main images, or no, maybe not.
There is. Yeah. There already is in Seller Central. You can split test your listings.
Main image?
Do that. Yeah, main image. Okay. You can do it with a lot of different things, titles.
It shows you how far away removed I am from the actual seller side of things.
Yeah, totally. Well, I just looked it up, and so far, I mean, like I said, it's only been a couple days, but just at the ad level, we haven't seen a big swing in conversion rate so far since making those changes to the main image. But I will say this is a A/B split test, so it is kind of cycling throughout the day, which one it's showing, and so I think we'll see what the data.
I didn't know you were A/B testing that itself.
Yes.
So who knows? Maybe the click-through rate spiked from the original.
Well, that wouldn't really make sense because that's how it was the whole time for. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So just to kind of quickly recap everything, the low-hanging fruits, essentially just really low-effort stuff you could do to perhaps squeak out a couple extra results from your campaigns. Number one, you can test out that low bid lottery strategy, see if that works for you. Just throw everything together in a single campaign, 5-cent bids, see what happens. Maybe you get a free couple sales. Andrew, what's the next one?
I actually closed the outline on accident, so I don't know.
So you thought we were wrapping up. You didn't know. I was in my mind. I was like, we'll go back and forth through these bullets. That's all right. Mm-hmm. I'll just riff them off.
You got it.
The targeting tab. Just quickly sort through your highest spending targets. Identify any, a couple of them that might have high ACoS. You can just pull those down really quickly, and that could help kind of reduce the ACoS a tiny bit and also give you a little more opportunity to push more on some of the stuff that's working well. You could check that products tab, see if there's any products that are just really struggling with a low conversion rate and driving up a lot of your spend. Those become candidates to either segment out somewhere to a new campaign or pause the ad or take a look at the listing and see if you need to switch out the main image or anything like that. Test out new ad types, sponsored brand videos, the product collection style. There's got to be a way to make that shorter. The SPV product collections version of SPV currently seems to be a good opportunity for, as long as you've got good video assets, seeming to be a good opportunity to really capture some extra sales. Just add a couple extra product targets or keyword targets from Amazon's recommended suggestions, and then see if you can test around with some of those main image hacks that we talked about. And then a couple other low-hanging fruits are, you can join the Discord, you can sign up for the Ad Labs waitlist, you can join our masterclass, and you can like and subscribe on YouTube and give us a 5-star rating on Apple and Spotify. Those are all really low-hanging fruits as well.
Very low-hanging fruit. Definitely do all of those things to maximize your Amazon performance. That is how you do it. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening and tuning into That Amazon Ads podcast. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Peace out.